Good evening, friends, followers and channel members. So here we are in Innsbruck, where we left our aircraft a couple of days ago, and I thought let's go back to Rotterdam, which we previewed yesterday on the World Update flight. That was really nice looking scenery. So as we're on live time and live weather, obviously I can change the time. Innsbruck is rather naughty at night, isn't it? You've got terrain all around you, but at least we can't see what we could fly into, so we won't know it's coming if we get the departure wrong, so that's nice. But good to see everyone. Good evening, Christian and Simon, Captain Reese UK, hello to you as well. Good to see you guys all on board. So looking forward to this one. I believe we've got a few people flying with us now. Air traffic control is online, so we're going to have to contact them to get our departure clearance in a little while. All I'm hoping for this stream, aside from getting out of Innsbruck Valley, is no crash to desktop, no crash of any kind, no crash into mountains, no crash to desktop, and I'll be quite happy. Nick, good afternoon. Nick, I'm sorry to tell you, mate, I don't know what it is, but for some reason I can't get our channel livery working. Tried everything. It's not working at all. HD, good evening to you as well. Oh, we're all glad you're here because you can field questions. Right, so with air traffic control online, we must go ahead and get set up, and we're going to have to give them a chat. Interestingly enough, ATIS information, we've got that QNH 1024, and the ATIS information says that we've got information kilo is currently present, and it tells us that runway in use is runway, and it doesn't tell us. But we've seen aircraft departing from runway 08, so I presume that is the one that we're going to be using, and that's fine. In fact, that's quite nice. We just need to make sure we've got appropriate navigation to help us out of there. Wow, Innsbruck is looking rather busy this evening. I wonder if everybody else is flying at night time or whether everyone else is flying daytime. What do we think, guys? Should we stick with a nighttime flight, or do you want us to move it to daytime? Good lord, look at the traffic movement. It doesn't help that in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and even on the charts, there's no real parking stands. It's just a little bit of a free-for-all, which is rather annoying. But I imagine a lot of this traffic will have arrived and probably logged off by the time we get pushback. That aircraft seems to be taxiing rather quickly on this snow-covered apron. Never mind. Let's get on board, shall we? And start prepping up to fly to Rotterdam. HD, you're looking forward to this nighttime at Innsbruck. Where's the popcorn? Yes. Well, HD, you know how much we've been practicing Innsbruck departures. Right. Let's get some lights on, shall we? And do we even have a power unit here? Could do with that. So just while FlyPad is getting loaded, we've still got our flashing blue plane as we had yesterday. FlyByWire are now aware of that. At the moment, I don't think we've got any clue what it is that's causing it, so that can't be helped. But there is the current flight plan, operational flight plan, for those of you that want to get that. Lewis Aviation, good evening. And let's see if we can get some ground power, shall we? So ground power. Oh, here it is. We actually have one today, so that's quite neat. External ground power available. We'll get that selected, and hopefully all the screens will work. There it is. Oh, HD, I'm in agreement with you. Runway 8 is far easier, especially as we're going out to Rattenberg. If we were going behind the other way, then, well, you wouldn't, would you? Really? Who'd want to do that? Much rather climb out to Rattenberg and then turn around, which is, I believe, what we're doing. So, let's get some ideas aligned. We'll also check what fuel is required as well for our flight this evening. And I'm also running self-loading cargo. I've been doing a couple of test flights today, and it seemed to hold out. All seems to be working, so we shall we'll see what happened. So let's have a look again in that fuel. I'm going to have to type this in here, aren't I? Wish this did save. Does anybody else get it saving? I don't. Right, Easyjetsimpilot, dashboard. Information, pull that from SimBrief on there. There we go. Wow, we're late for departure. Angry passengers. It'll be the snow. That's caused our delay. Right, the weather actually at Rotterdam is absolutely fine. So planned block fuel of about 6 tons. That's looking good. So 6 tons of fuel. Let's get that loaded on, or rather defueled. That'll do. Set that to real time. That's going to take about 5 minutes. John Ray, good evening. Okay, so defueling is taking place, and we can do our engine tests. Fire test 1 and 2, and of course the APU. There we go. So we'll get APU running once fueling has completed. Let's come down to the center instrument panel. And what have we got? 1024 is the QNH. 1024. Tim, why do I have a livery? Because I prefer to have a livery, if that's all right. 1024 anti-skid. Let's come down to the pedestal. So what frequencies are we going to need? Who's online here at Lowy? We've got the tower 120.1. So we'll pop that in the standby. 120.1. We'll flip over to that in a little bit. VHF 2 onto the guard 121.5. Pete, good evening to you. 121.5. That's on the guard. Back to VHF 1. Check all the levers and everything is in the right place. That's all turned on. Looks good. Flight deck door is open. And come up to the glare shield. Let's just put some lights on as well, because as soon as we turn the dome lights out, it's going to get pretty dark, isn't it? Flight directors 1 and 2 on. And let's have a look at the passengers then. So self-loading cargo can now begin to do its thing. Once it's loaded up. I thought it was already loaded actually. There we go. It is now. So start getting our passengers on board. Who fancies a nighttime flight out of Innsbruck? Dave Hudson, good evening, sir. Yep, you're happy with the new update. There's like 1 billion people at your home airport today. Yeah, I can imagine there is. So we don't need to turn the brightness of these too much, what with it being night time. Higher alignment in 5 minutes. For frame rates, of course, we're going to get rid of those. I'm not going to require them. Not turn the brightness up here, actually. Do require that. And let's get some lights on the pedestal as well. There we go. So let's come down to the McDo and start getting ourselves set up here as far as we can. Then I'm going to contact ATC and see which departure they'd like us to fly before we put all that information in. So GPS primary, obviously still sorting that out. Valid AirX title. Anyway, McDo menu, ATSU, AOC menu, init press, and let's init data request. There we go. 1 hour, 1 hour 28 minutes for the flight today. That's all right. I just want to check. I didn't think so. For some reason, my cursor wasn't showing. That should now have been updated for you, and you can see the cursor. So that's fine. Good. Glad that's working. All right. So let's have a look then at the operational flight plan and see what what the payload is today. So block fuel, we can ignore that page. Let's go to the second page and have a look at our payload. So 16432 operational flight plan. I'm sure that matches up. Always check 16432. That is correct. Zero fuel weight of 57.4. Let's come back. 57.4 and zero fuel weight center of gravity. Let's just tell you what. Let's just change that to 30 so it matches. There we go. 158 passengers today, not fully loaded. That's good. We don't want to be fully loaded. I would imagine there's probably some sort of restrictions to our takeoff weight. The runway is wet. I don't know if it's been snowing. It's probably been snowing, hasn't it? Let's be honest. So I would imagine there are some sort of restrictions to our takeoff weight. But we'll be fine with that, as we're not too heavy. We're not taking gallons of fuel, are we? So that's all right. Anyway, that's all set. Let's get that loaded in. Okay, so now that's loaded, then I want to just check how's that defueling going and what's the aircraft's weight. All right, so I think defueling has actually finished. So there's our gross weight, 63.5 tons. And what's our estimated takeoff weight? About 63.25 tons. So that's okay. That's good. Not too heavy. Lovely. Okay, so at this point then, let's have a look and come to our init A page and just pull that information in from SimBrief. There it is. I don't know why we can't look at the alternate. Oh, thanks, SimBrief. I don't think I manually altered this tonight. I was in a little bit of a rush. But look at the alternate. It's Charles de Gaulle. How many of you were here last night and watched that horrific flight into Charles de Gaulle? Airway waypoint mismatch. That's interesting. In fact, I think I know why that is. We'll go in and fix that in a moment. So flight number is Easyjet Europe. So the Alpine call sign tonight. Let's see how many times I call Easyjet instead of Alpine. Cost index of 8, flight level 380 and minus 52. 380 minus 48. So I can just go ahead and make a slight change there. Minus 48. And what's the tropo? That seems very low. Oh wow, it is today. 25579. 25579. I get that updated. Right, so before I look to pop the flight plan in, I'm going to contact air traffic control and let them know what we're doing or what we'd like to do, and they can give us our clearance. So let's swap over to 120.1. Just check that frequency is still valid and online. Let's have a look. Lowy Tower is online, 120.1. In that case, let's give them a shout. Innsbruck Tower, good evening. Alpine 34 Alpha Mike is type A320 Neo requesting IFR clearance as planned to Rotterdam.
Alpine 34 Alpha Mike Innsbruck Tower, standby.
So we're just standing by for the time being. V1 rotate, use BA liveries, but the Easyjet layout. Yeah, do you know what? I like the Easyjet layout. It's just very, very easy to understand. Oh, passengers have started to board. That's good.
speedboat 5 on kilo with you on the circle to land runway 08.
Ooh, the circle to land 08. I bet he's not doing that at night.
Clear to land runway 08, speedboat 5 on kilo.
Shall we have a quick look outside, see if we can see him? So I'm presuming this is him just here.
Hello, Radio 555 localizer TV 08 section circle to land runway 08.
There seems to be a lot of aircraft in the sky.
Radio 555.
Radio 555 Innsbruck Tower Table Division circling 08 continue number 2.
Number 2, Radio 555.
2 aircraft doing the circle to land. Nice. So I'm just waiting to get our clearance, but I bet the controller's just waiting for the go-arounds, or to pick up the red telephone. Ben, hi Gavin. Oh, hang on.
Mike information, kilo is current clear to Rotterdam. Rattenberg 3 Juliet departure runway 08, climb level 120, stroke 4677.
Alpine 34 Alpha Mike, runway 08, information kilo, climb flight level 120, and just confirm the departure routing for us, please, again.
Alpine 34 Alpha Mike, Rattenberg 3 Juliet departure, Romeo Tango Tango 3 Juliet.
The Rattenberg 3 Juliet departure, thank you, Alpine 34 Alpha Mike.
Alpine 34 Alpha Mike, 8 success.
Okay, so obviously slightly different to what we've got there, but that's no issues.
In the tower, we're passing a radio check.
03 kilo Innsbruck Tower radio check.
So, sorry I can't show you the action that's going off outside. That looks like a little bit of fun, doesn't it? But let's get set up here.
Requesting IFR to Manchester.
IFR to Manchester. I've not been in the UK and the simulator for a while now. So, flight plan.
Should be in there now.
Departing 08.
Yeah, Easy 13 kilo, check your routing.
Rattenberg 3 Juliet.
Routing.
iPhone.
Insert.
What's wrong with it?
Yeah, Easy 13 kilo, Lamgo is no departure, 6 from...
And then our arrival into Rotterdam.
Lambo is not going to be our departure, that is one of our waypoints on our en route.
Is the Helen 3 Romeo for runway 06. ILS 06. Nice short runway to land as well.
Easy 13 kilo, I need to define the valid route.
We'll go.
And let's just check the initial approach fix for this one.
Easy 13 kilo, can you confirm the departure runway?
Kirby said right.
Right.
So let's see, what have we got? What have we got? We've got it'll be via STAD then. The STD STAD. Let's pop that in and insert. Okay, let's have a quick check at the distance. We've got 537 miles showing. What have we got on the operational flight plan? 518 miles. I believe now it is of a line, so let's have a look at the map and see if that all matches up. So let's just switch to plan mode. There's our departure. After Rattenberg, we're then hopefully clear of the terrain, back heading out to the west. Cycle through.
It should be there now.
See what our arrival looks like. Okay, that's perhaps.
Easy 13 kilo, yeah, I can answer within like 2 seconds. Stand by, Kirby.
Okay, it's taken us via Rotterdam's NDB. So it's taken us via the Rotterdam NDB, in which case, let's just have a look, see if we've got a different VIA in there. It shows all the VIAs. It shouldn't do. It should only show the one that you actually need, but let's check. So it's not going to be the Core 1 Romeo. Oh, hang on, erase that. It is the Helen 3 Romeo, that is correct. And then we need to pop in, let's have a look. So, via Messos, nope. Change that via again. So via Rotterdam, that's still just as messy. The thing is, we can't even put no vias in. If there's no ATC there, we'll probably get vectored in. Although at the moment, I think there is ATC there, so that's interesting. Let's have a look. STD, that's the one that we just popped in. Are there any others? No, there's not. Right, in that case, I'm just going to leave it as was via the STAD NDB. So let's insert that. That's the least messy anyway. And you can see how it's then going to bring us in from STAD here. That's essentially what I wanted to do, coming from STAD there. So let's just clear that for a moment, get that out of the way. That's looking alright, so we can go back into manage mode now. Our initial climb clearance, let's set that, which is 120. Let's get that set. Okay, so our flight plan is now all programmed in. I'm just going to make a small break there. We'll get the fuel pumps on, and I'm going to get the APU running. So APU master, count to 3, 1, 2, 3. Let's get the APU started, and let's come back down to what we were doing. Okay, so flight plan is now in. Let's go to the RadNav page. Now anything that we can pop in here. Let's just clear that out because I need a different chart now. It's not the Rattenberg 2 Quebec, it's the 3 Juliet that we're after. So there you go. Essentially it's straight out to the room NDB, and then direct via the interceptor localizer to Rattenberg out, and then fly back around. That'll be all hard coded in on the tell you what, let me just get rid of air traffic control for a minute. There we go, that'll be all hard coded in, so that's okay. However, if anything was to go wrong, we can just put some raw data numbers in there. So we can put the room NDB in. Let's do that. So Romeo Uniform Mike Rum, what a great name. We can pop that in there. We'll pop that on ADF2. Then VOR 1, we can pop in the Oscar Echo Juliet localizer DME, which is 10. Oops, let's try that again. 109.7. There we go. HD, you don't understand why we couldn't do the 2 Quebec, to be fair. No, they're very similar, aren't they? And obviously that's what we'd filed, because that to me was the simplest one. I'm most certainly not going to take off and then have to circle back round to overfly to clear the terrain. That's that's not needed. That's for aircraft that obviously don't have the climb gradient performance. And then we'll also get the Rattenberg NDB in there as well, in case we need that, which is Romeo Tango Tango. Okay, we shouldn't actually need any of those, but they're there in case we do, and they're all pre-programmed in, so that's fine. Okay, so that's a RadNav page all set, and let's go to our init B page. Zero fuel weight then, let's just zip back over. What was it? 57.4. And the zero fuel weight CFG is 30. Trip wind, What's the winds doing today? Oh, a slight headwind of 17. There we go. Okay, fuel planning. We've got 6 tons loaded. It suggests 5.6, so I'm happy with that. That's spot on. I can't just look up now. That's an annoying bug that's been brought in by the new update. So 6 tons, that's fine. 6.0. So a takeoff weight of 63.4 tons. Estimated fuel then when we get to Rotterdam is 3 tons. Spot on. Happy with that? Good, good, good. Okay, so now to our takeoff performance page. So the transition altitude here at Innsbruck is 10,000 feet. In fact, is it 10,000 feet? They're not actually giving it to us. We've been cleared to a flight level of 120, so that's fine. I'll leave that. Thrust reduction is correct at 2,900, and then we're departing to the east, so acceleration is 7,000. Now, if anyone wants to know where I'm getting these figures from, this has been with the help of HD, and I will be doing a detailed tutorial to come for the trainer captain channel members later on, so watch out for that. I'll go into a little a lot more detail as to why I'm putting in what I'm putting in. So flaps 2 for our departure today, and no flex temp. It is going to be a toga takeoff. Engine out, acceleration is going to be also 7,000 feet. There we go. And let's calculate some V speeds then. So V2 is 130, 126 for the rotation speed, and 125 for the for V1. Okay. Alright, so now I'm going to do our departure briefing. This is going to have to be a little bit more in depth than what we'd normally do. So in terms of the actual takeoff, but taxi and takeoff, that's well, the taxi is pretty straightforward. Obviously, we're taxiing down, we'll push back, taxi down via Alpha. We want the full runway, so we'll have to go down and backtrack. That's absolutely fine. So, things that are slightly different then for this takeoff. APU is going to be left on. We'll have the packs off for departure as normal. APU bleed is also going to be off as well. As soon as we take up and we've got a good rate of climb, we're happy, gear up, and then we're going to climb out of the valley at 150 knots, no faster. We don't want to be speeding our way through this tight turn and the hills either side of us. So 150 knots, and then once we've passed the thrust reduction altitude, we're going to turn the APU bleed on, and then we're going to get packs 1 and 2 back on. So APU is going to be controlling the packs for us, make sure the engines have got maximum performance to get us out of here, and we're going to maintain flap 2 all the way up to 10,000 feet. 10,000 feet, sorry, no, we're not. We're going to maintain flaps 2 up until about 7,000 feet, which is our acceleration altitude, and then we're going to start and clean up. Once we get to flight level 150, then we're going to get the packs, we're going to get the pack 1 off, APU bleed off, and then turn those packs back on. But as I say, I will do a much more detailed tutorial and reasonings behind that in a future video. Okay, in terms of the actual departure, we can see this is all coded in quite nicely, so we're off as it is, and I'm just going to double check what that looks like on the navigation display, make sure that looks as it should. So user point there, that's fine, just as we depart. That's so we take off and then we make a left hand turn, and HD, yeah, XL, make sure we press manage speed, otherwise we're going to be flying 150 knots all the way to Rotterdam. We don't want that, we'd still be here tomorrow. So let's just have a look on the navigation display. What's that look like? So let's just go to the plan, and that's exactly as what I expect to see. Straight out, slight left turn to our first waypoint of Rum. just checking that is in there. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Okay, so that's how we're actually going to fly the departure. Other things we need to be aware of if we just come and check our the weather for the departure. As we can see, the runway is wet. We need to be aware of that. We've got scattered cloud at 5,000 feet, broken cloud at 8,000 feet, 3 degrees. But the QNH is nice and high. So again, I'll explain a little bit more about why that's a good thing in a more detailed tutorial. But that's fine. So that's not a concern. The aircraft, we've obviously got the A320neo. This is the experimental version as well, guys. The experimental version, and we're basically just hoping the simulator doesn't crash. That's all I'm hoping for in this flight. Threats, of course, to look out for. Yeah, well, I think everyone knows pretty much about the threats here. You've got tons and tons of granite either side of us as we depart, which we don't want to fly into, so we need to make sure we hold that track. And autopilot will be flying this departure almost as soon as we get off the ground. Pop quiz for anyone. What's the lowest altitude at which you can engage autopilot after takeoff? HD, you're not allowed to answer. Okay, so let's start getting the aircraft final preps done, and we'll look to get our pushback clearance and welcome everybody on board.
Set up here, so we're happy to close the doors once everyone's on board, and we'll get going. Thank you. Boarding is still underway, but we're almost done. It shouldn't take much longer.
Right, so actually I think boarding is finished. Maybe we'll just have a night of quizzes. That could be good fun, couldn't it? On the way to Rotterdam, once I've got it out of here safely, hopefully.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on board our Easyjet service. Please place your large bags into the overhead locker, wheels first, and keep your small items under the seat in front of you. These include laptops, handbags, duty-free and loose items of clothing. Once you have safely stowed your cabin bag, please take your seat. To help us ensure a prompt departure, we would kindly ask that you keep the aisle clear, enabling all remaining customers to board. Your seatbelt can now be fastened.
Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for observing this policy.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, so we're ready to get our pushback clearance, and then we can get ready for departure. But before we do, before start checklist. So cockpit preparation is all completed. Our signs are on and auto. The gears are aligned, and let's make sure we've got our 3 nav green. Actually, can't remember if I did that. Aligned and data page IRS 3 nav green. Fuel quantity 6 tons is loaded, checked and balanced. There it is. And flight management guidance system, it's all programmed in correctly. Happy with that. Altimeter 1024. Check that matches up in the simulator actually. 1024, yes it does, so no change to our performance, that's fine. Okay, so let's get our pushback clearance. We may have to wait for traffic behind us. Innsbruck and Alpine 3-4 Alpha Mike is ready for push and start.
Alpine 3-4 Alpha Mike says 4677, push and start approved, facing wait.
Push and start approved, facing west, and we'll just recycle our squawk 4677.
Easyjet132, we need to disconnect and reconnect to the simulator. When we rejoin, are we going to be with the same clearance?
Most probably.
Okay, let's get that beacon light on. Call the tug driver nose wheel steering has now been disconnected. And acupressure is good, transponder is all set. Parking brake is currently on, thrust levers at idle. Okay, let's start our push. I'm just going to stick my head out the window and have a quick look at what's behind me, as I've got to control the pushback tug. Oh! Well, good job I didn't start pushing back immediately, isn't it?
Super 2890, RNP Zulu runway 08.
Super 2890, line 4000 levels, continue.
Continue, Super 2890.
Okay, so before start checklist, below the line, windows and doors closed and armed, rotating beacon light is on, mobile phone off and parking brake is on. Let's release the parking brake and begin that push. Parking brake released. And off we go. So, engine start, ignition, engine mode selected to ignition and starting engine 1. Oh, HT, I see you've just answered the question for me. Thank you. Marina Halley on Facebook. Good evening. It'll be going a lot easier once we got out of Innsbruck. Nice and busy.
For your attention while we take you through the safety procedures on this aircraft. A safety card is in your seat pocket, showing the exit routes, oxygen masks, life jackets, and brace position that you must adopt if you hear brace, brace. There are 2 emergency exits at the rear, or in the middle, and 2 at the front of the cabin. Floor lighting will guide you to an exit. Please be aware that your nearest exit may be behind you. In an emergency, leave all cabin baggage on board. Your seatbelt is fastened, adjusted, and released as shown. It must be fastened when the seatbelt signs are on. Recommend that you keep it fastened at all times. If the air supply fails, masks will drop from above you. Pull a mask towards you to start the oxygen. Put the mask over your nose and mouth. Hold in place with the strap. Pull on each side to adjust. Put on your own mask before helping others. If we land on water, take the life jacket from under your seat. Put it over your head. Pass the tapes around your waist. Click together and pull the strap to adjust. Do not inflate it inside the aircraft. When outside, inflate by
Good evening, System Jet 203 at 8,000 feet on the RNP approach.
There is a light and whistle for attracting attention.
We
We also carry flotation aids for children. Your
Continue number
children
2,
must now be
System Jet
stowed,
203.
armrest down, window blinds open, and seatbelt fastened. We wish you a pleasant flight with Easyjet.
Engine number 2 stabilised. Our pushback tug seems to have done a fantastic job. So with that, let's go engine mode select to ignition. And APU bleed, it comes off. Anti-ice comes on. APU master stays on just here. Packs will be off for departure. And we're then going to come down and set our spoilers. Rudder trim 0, flaps 2 for departure this time, and then our trim wheel setting is, let's see what that's, centre of gravity 32. So 32, that's 30, it's probably just below halfway. There we go, we're in the green band. So, ECAM status is checked. We're now clear to disconnect. So, okay, say goodbye to the tug.
Innsbruck Tower, and order 642, finishing the holding and continue airnav approach 480
Just whilst we're waiting for ATC to answer that, I'm just going to do a quick flight control check. There we go. So after start checklist, anti-ice is on, ECAM status has been checked, pitch trim is 32, rudder trim is 0. And let's get rid of our tug driver. Pushback is now clear. Let's get our taxi clearance.
Motion 64 to Innsbruck, Tower Service continue localizer DMS approach, cleared visual circling approach, MS08.
Continue with approach for 108 and clear for visual approach 108. Now the 642.
Tower Alpine 34 Alpha Mike is ready for departure.
Alpine 34 Alpha Mike, taxi holding point runway 08 by Alpha.
Holding taxi holding point runway 08 via Alpha for Alpine 34 Alpha Mike.
Confirm clear to land, just speedbird 2890. Confirm.
Okay, so a lot of aircraft here. I'm just going to get the aircraft ready nice and early, as we're going to be rather busy for this departure. Okay, so that's all set. Get the terrain radar on as well. We shall most certainly need that. Okay, let's release those parking brakes and we can start rolling out. We've got the taxi clearance, get the taxi lights on. Parking brakes released.
Hello again,
Okay, so now we're just following the green lights all the way down. HD, that is a great piece of advice. Don't be stingy with the runway length when you do the 180 at the end. You've paid to use it, so use all of it. Well, we're going to need every metre, aren't we? So I'm just going to brief that departure once again, because it is not a normal departure. We need to know exactly what we need to do. Definitely one worth practicing over and over. So no change to the performance, QNH is the same, we're happy with that. Engine out procedure, oh good lord, that's another tutorial entirely. But if we did have a problem, we would need to continue our climb to Rattenberg, unless we had something like a big fire, and then well, then we disconnect from VATSIM and pray. Departure matches what we've got on the FMGC, that's fine, and our stop climb is flight level 120, so we'll need to set standard pressure as well. So the other thing we're going to do, remember, as soon as we take off, it's gear up and pull the speed brake. We want to climb at 150 knots all the way up, flaps 2, at 7,000 feet. 7,000 feet the acceleration altitude. Thrust reduction altitude is about 3,000 feet, at which point we're going to put the APU bleed on, and packs 1 and 2 will come back on as well.
Good night, Speedbird 2890.
HD, yeah, that's exactly what I'd do. I'd do that racetrack.
And fine 3-4 Alpha Mike next arriving, Tomjet Boeing 737, none of the range, I'm still right behind, taxi approved.
After the landing of next aircraft, cleared to taxi and line up, hold at threshold runway 08. Alpine 34 Alpha Mike. Yeah, I'm not sure I want to do that racetrack on on VATSIM. So, before takeoff checklist, flight controls have been checked, departure briefing confirmed, flaps config 2, FMA takeoff data 125 blue, 130 magenta, climb nav blue, 12,000 feet blue, 1 FD2, and it's a toga takeoff. Really important, remember to get that gear up and pull 150 knots. So here's the next departing aircraft. Okay, lights on. We'll pop the wing lights on as well. Nighttime departure. Okay, so let's begin our taxi out then to the runway.
Cabin crew, if you could take your seats for takeoff.
Target 203, hands vacated, runway 08.
Okay, before takeoff, check this below the line.
Bravo, good night.
Cabin secured for takeoff.
Target 203.
Engine mode select norm.
34, Alpha Mike, wind 09 at 0 degrees, 2 knots, runway 08, cleared for takeoff, after the conflict, Unicom 122.8, good night.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 08, and over to Unicom after departure. Thanks for the service. Good night. Alpine 34 Alpha Mike.
And all stations, Innsbruck Tower is closing, monitor Unicom 122.8.
Further 122.8, level 6.
If it's closing, we may turn that. We may tune just as we, just before takeoff. I don't want to be fiddling with the radio in the valley. Klaus Hansen, welcome to the First Officers Club, my friend. Thank you very much for your very kind support there. So, engine mode select norm. TCAS is set. TARA. Tilt above. We'll pop the packs off in a moment. Anti-ice is on. Right, let's go as far as we dare. We want to use all that runway. So we can try and get a good turn around a rate of 5 knots. That's good. I could probably have used a bit more runway there, to be fair, but that's okay. Okay, right. Let's go. I won't be monitoring the chat, I'm afraid, during this. I need to concentrate on the departure. So sit back, relax, and hopefully enjoy. So, takeoff. Start the chrono. 50% and 1. And set takeoff thrust. Mantoga SRS. V1 rotate. Gear up, speed 150 knots. Climb thrust, we forgot to turn the packs off. Let's get APU bleed on. Packs are now back on. And autopilot 1 engaged. Keep that pitch up angle. Autopilot, make sure it's doing exactly as we want it to. Just is doing, we're holding 150 knots. There's the terrain that we've got to stay clear of. We should remember to turn the packs off for departure. I should have done that when entering the runway, shouldn't I? Knew we'd forget something. So acceleration altitude in 1,000 feet. So that's at 7,000 feet. So we're still at flaps 2, that's fine. So now we're at 7,000 feet. Manage speed. Nose will start to drop. We shall start to accelerate away. Nose lowering down, but we're still climbing at 2,000 feet per minute. That's fine. We're now past F speed, so let's select flaps 1. And accelerating now with that speed trend, you can see S speed is now coming. Don't need to worry about getting the flaps up too quickly after passing S speed, as at 210 knots the flaps will go up, just leaving the slats out. I checked this as well the other day to make sure that worked, and it did. So now we can clean up. So flaps 0. Spoilers disarmed. And minimum safe altitude at Rotterdam is 10,300 feet. We're going to have cleared that, so happy with that. We're now at 10,000 feet. We're going to set standard pressure. And as you can see now, we're at flight level 100 now.
We recommend that you keep your seatbelt fastened whenever you are seated.
Let's select a higher climb then. Let's go to flight level 200. We can push that. We've now got thrust climb and climb showing. We can get rid of those lights. So we're now almost above the minimum safe altitude for where we're flying. Just to the right of us though, minimum safe altitude is 14,200. So just making sure this autopilot behaves itself. Once we get to 15,150, we'll turn the APU off. Now I am just going to pull that heading bug because it is wanting to turn me just a little bit quicker than I would like. There is still terrain to the left of us. So let's just get to Rotterdam. And then we'll be happy to make that left turn. But now, with 100 feet to go, we're clear. Everything's good. We're clear of the minimum safe altitude, so I'm now going to go. We can pop that back into nav mode, and there we go. Nav. We can make that left-hand turn. We're coming up to flight level 150. So at this point, we can turn pack 1 back off. APU bleed can come off. Pack 1 can now come back on, and APU master can come off. And we're away. We'll just finish making this turn, then I can release the cabin crew. There we go. So let's get the cabin crew released. They can start prepping your drinks cart. Oh, HD, we could have stayed in nav. Right, I'll chat to you. I'll chat to you about that. I'm sure. And there's the wing light showing us the state of the wings in Microsoft Flight Simulator with the wonderful icing that once again has not been fixed, even after the update. And that's it now, we're away. It's just like any normal departure. So speed, alt star, let's get up to our cruising altitude then now, which we'll just double check. We've got 380, optimum is 390, and we can select 380, thrust climb, 380 blue, ice not detected, which is obviously a bit more difficult to see at night, the cloud layers, so we can trust the ECAM, turn the ice off, don't need that. So now I'm just monitoring the aircraft systems all the way up to climb, but all the way up to cruise. Sorry, but other than that, I can now come back to the chat. Just debrief on that departure. My mistake, and it is my mistake, and I'm quite annoyed that I made it because I must have practiced it 10 or 15 times. Is I didn't turn the packs off for the departure, and that's the difference between practicing in the simulator environment and then when you've got air traffic control. It does make that difference. That may be sadly one of the things that could potentially cause issues in the real world when those pilots that look at that moon, those pilots that are obviously spending lots of time in the simulator just to keep the check rides up and things, and then hopefully go back to work once this COVID thing starts to get out of the way. That moon looks fantastic. I've never seen it look like that in the simulator before. That is really neat. Okay, guys, let me come back into the chat. So, what have we got? Probe anti-ice should always be on in flight. No, it shouldn't. In fact, the Airbus A320 is automatic, but you'd only usually use that button when it's very icy on the ground. Normally it's left off. Original name, why was the APU on at takeoff? So that is a special circumstances departing Innsbruck, because you want the engines to have maximum performance. That you don't want the engines providing bleed air to the cabin. Let the APU take care of that. Matthew Pilot, the moon was like that in real life today as well. Well, the phases of the moon are spot on, aren't they? I'm sure many of you have seen that. Okay, let's... I've seen the phases of the moon being correct. I've just never seen it looking quite so orange down at the horizon. I think that's beautiful. Okay, seatbelt signs coming off. Alex 2611, why crashing on desktop? Remove all liveries. GK, so are you on our Discord server, my friend? If you are, what would be really good to see is a photo of your primary flight display. See what's happening there. We might be able to diagnose that for you. One of the things that does really inhibit climb performance is if the flaps are still out. Tom C, do I prefer flying at night or day? Well, obviously, you would always say daytime, wouldn't you? Just because you've got pretty things to look at. But I think even in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 at night looks fantastic. Okay, the aircraft may look a bit daft, but I mean, we're over the Alps at the moment, aren't we? So there's not that much to see anyway. But if we get to a point in our flight when the clouds clear, it looks really, really nice. So Danny Paul, thank you for following on Facebook. Thank you very much. Looks like some nasty weather over there to the left hand side of us, doesn't it? We should probably contact, or not contact, but tune to Unicom as well. Something else I should have done as the controller was closing. So how's everyone getting on with the new update? Obviously I did a quick video today regarding the frame rates performance. I managed to get those back doing those 5 tips. If you've not seen that, check out that video if you are struggling with frame rates. I managed to land at Charles de Gaulle today with no issues. Mark 456, why did I fly 115 knots at Innsbruck? No, nothing to do with noise. It's because you want to be you want the aircraft to have full power to the engines, which it has. It's in climb thrust, which means you can pitch that nose up. Get out of that valley. Put as much distance as you can between the ground and the aircraft. So just targeting 150 knots means the aircraft will the energy from the engines, the power from the engines, goes into making the plane climb vertically rather than it does sending it laterally. So Anthony says that before the video it was a lag fiesta in Paris. Yeah, quite right too. After the video it's smooth. I'm glad to hear that. JJ, your update was fine. Your Charles de Gaulle frame rate was great on your computer. Fantastic. I don't think everyone has shared that view, unfortunately. Yap says a nice landing in CDG. Pixar, it didn't happen. I'm gonna have to do it again, aren't I? We could have flown there tonight actually, but I'd already flown there today. Offline, I actually flew from Innsbruck to Charles de Gaulle just to see how it worked. So Dave says, a great guide, you swallowed your pride and dialed down some of the ultra settings and it looks exactly the same but runs smoothly. Yeah, exactly. There's not too much, and as I say, I mostly fly the jets, the airliners, as you know, so I don't need the grass to look fantastic. If though, however, I decide, you know what, I'm just going to jump in a Cessna and fly around my local flying club, see if I can check my house is still there, then I'll change the settings accordingly. You know, I'll turn the buildings up, the trees and the grass, and I'll turn things like the weather down a little bit. It's not as important. Magic Gnome, why did I put 115 knots manually and not in the McDo? Okay, so that's because I wanted the aircraft to target the 150 knots and I didn't want to fly it in managed speed. It had to be well, it had to be my speed. plus which it would only then revert to 150 knots. HD, you're going to have to correct me on this, but it would only revert to 150 knots, wouldn't it, if we levelled off. And the last thing you want to do is level off at Innsbruck. V1 rotate. Do you know what? I am actually going to allow that message. Ron, I am flying the experimental version of the fly-by-wire mod. So it's the experimental version. So I'm just going to have a look, see if we've got any air traffic control around us. So what have we got? We've got Munich radar, that's online. Do we fly through Munich? I have no idea. I think we actually fly, we sort of like border Switzerland and France on this flight. So I think we're sort of, I'll just zoom in a little bit here. Munich radar, we sure Munich radar's online. That can't be Munich radar. Would they be shouting at us by now? But basically we fly sort of around, in fact, if I go to the operational flight plan page and dispatch operational flight plan, show you the map on here, you can see the routing that we're flying today. There it is. Oh wow, that's bright. Yeah, so there we go. There's our routing today. Which, if I actually turn on the VFR map, there you go. You can see that a little better. So, how are we doing with our climb to cruise? Flight level. We've just passed flight level 340, we're approaching 350, that's okay.
In just a few moments we'll commence our in-flight service, offering you the chance to purchase a selection of hot beverages together with drinks and snacks from the bar. We accept payment in pounds, euros, most major currencies and debit or credit cards. The correct change would be greatly appreciated. And if we can be of any further assistance, then just ask us as we join you in the cabin shortly.
The doctor is on board. Good evening, doctor. HD, yes, I need to do a special Innsbruck tutorial. Yeah, I think we can do that thanks to your guidance. There's a lot of things which are certainly not standard, are there, about Innsbruck. And it's all in the interests of safety. I think one of the things that already has been discussed in the chat, as I've seen, is people saying, why fly at 150 knots? Well, if anything goes wrong, you need to turn around and get yourself back to Innsbruck. There's nowhere else to land if something serious goes wrong, and the only way you can turn around is if you're flying slowly. It also means if you're flying slowly, you can climb steeply as well. John Smith, where did I get the PA sounds from? So I'm using self-loading cargo for my PA sounds. Mark 456, you're also interested to see a takeoff westbound. Oh well, that's fair enough. It's very, very similar. The only difference would be the acceleration altitude is 10,000 feet as opposed to 7,000 feet. Sorry, I've got that the wrong way around. We departed eastbound today, so acceleration was 7,000 feet. Going westbound, it's 10,000 feet. Now, what is really interesting is if you take off from runway 26 and you're flying back eastbound to Rattenberg, where we went today. That's good fun as a single pilot. Chris Holt, that's probably one of the best things I've read all day. You did the Rome to Innsbruck flight today. All went fine. Several attempts for a stable approach. You and Rattenberg are now best friends. Oh, great stuff. So steadily climbing to reach our final cruising altitude. Dark Fury, good evening. I didn't see you sneak into the chat. Mark 456, that's the one. I forget which standard instrument departure it is. But HD will testify, I flew it yesterday. And yeah, it's quite busy, particularly for a single pilot. And obviously, if something went wrong when you're doing that, I'm not even sure it'd be possible to show it in the simulator. There'd just be far too much to do. So the weather then at Rotterdam. Let's have a quick check. 1031, our current QNH. No clouds detected. That means the airport's probably closed in real life now, doesn't it? And 350 at 6. Chris Trigger, good evening. Matthew Pilot 11, yes, we're on VATSIM. There's just no controls on that. They were obviously online at Innsbruck. So Dan, you tried duplicating the room to Innsbruck and it fell apart at the final approach, and the localizer didn't engage. Also, something must have gone wrong. Did you put the localizer into the RadNav page? It doesn't auto-populate. It should do in the real world, but it doesn't here in the simulator, so we need to keep an eye on that. HD, I was thinking about that other departure. Having the raw data as backup was a good idea. You needed to know when to turn, as the flight directors were a bit useless initially. Yeah, I think the flight directors have got it spot on now, haven't they? Oh, there we go, Mac and Altstar. They've got it spot on now in terms of your pitch for a departure, but just sometimes the lateral guidance isn't quite there, particularly for something like that. Mac Alt Cruise now is sitting happy all the way to Rotterdam. We should be on the ground in an hour or so. Plenty of time to chat, take questions. We might even do a quiz. I like doing quizzes, particularly when I don't know an answer, because I like to learn. And with that learning, I then like to obviously try and impart some of that wisdom on the channel. That's why it was initially set up. Chris, very busy into Manchester tonight on VATSIM. You had to do a hold. Oh, I've done a couple. They've not always been that successful, to be honest with you. GK, what does the chrono do? It's essentially a stopwatch. So we're now at cruising altitude. We're going to do our top of climb checks in a moment. So just before I do those top of climb checks, let's have a quick look at our scenery below us. And where are we? We're going to be passing quite close to Luxembourg, actually. That's one of the areas that's had the update as well. But that's the reason I really don't mind flying at night on the simulator. I think it looks, in some respects, just as good as daytime. I'll be interested to see what Rotterdam looks like coming in. That's obviously a nice new handcrafted airport for us. Right, so quiz question: which football stadium has just been added at Rotterdam in the last update? I'm absolutely useless on my Netherlands Netherlands football stadiums, I'm afraid. Lucas on Facebook says Innsbruck's great except for the bump in the middle of the runway. That may actually be there. In all fairness to it. Magic Gnome, can I explain the procedure concerning a departure with the APU? So, all you're doing, you always turn the packs off for departure anyway, or you should do, I forgot today. But you turn the packs off for departure normally, because then you're giving the engines better performance. The engines aren't pressurising the cabin and putting bleed air into the cabin, etc. So you turn the packs off so the engines have the best performance. Now, you are already obviously quite high up at Innsbruck, so you need to get that, and you want to get that cabin pressurised quite quickly as you're starting your climb. But the moment you turn the packs back on, then you need to make sure that the engines are still maintaining their optimal performance. So instead, you use the APU to do it rather than the engines. Bugs 320, how do I get the iPad in the cockpit? You need to be on the developer version, or you need to be on the experimental version. Yep, the answer's none. There are some soccer stadiums added though. Trick question. Right, let's do these checks. So I've put them off for long enough. So engines performing as they should. And fuel used just under a ton each. That's correct. Bleed air is fine, and that page actually does work as well. I checked that yesterday. Bleed air page seems to work if you've got the APU on. So that's nice. Pressure, that page hasn't been updated. Electrical page, of course, working nicely as it should. And there's our fuel. That's fine. Burning about 30 kilograms per minute in the cruise. APU obviously is turned off. 24 degrees in the cabin. Doors still armed, etc. Brake temperatures at 0. And flight control computers are all working. System is normal as well. Right, so where are we? We're a couple of minutes away. We're about a minute away from Abuka. So let's come down here and look at the operational flight plan. Check that. 33 minutes into the flight. We should be around there. Oh, look at that. Abuka, 33 minutes, spot on. And our fuel about 3.8 tons is the minimum. And we've got 4.2. There it is. Okay, so we're happy with that. Could look at getting some en route weathers as well. So as I say, Luxembourg, nice runway, and we've got Brussels. So if we look for Brussels and Luxembourg, see what the weather's doing there in case we needed to divert. Hope not though, everything's going swimmingly. So we go to the ATSU, AOC, and messages, weather request. So Lowy and Rotterdam already in there, so LX, ELLX, and Brussels, Echo, Bravo, Bravo, Romeo. Pop that in. And Yves Lambert, thank you very, very much for subscribing to the channel. Really is appreciated. Just wait for those to come through for that company message. There it is. So McDo menu into the ATSU, and Nick and Gianluca as well. Thank you very much for subscribing. Receive messages, and we can print that METAR out. In fact, we don't need to print that METAR out unless we're going to use it. How far are we away from Rotterdam? Oh no, we're still just under 300 miles away, so that's fine. So which airport would I prefer? Let's see what the weather's looking like at those big airports. So at Rotterdam everything's fine anyway, no clouds detected, 4 degrees 1031. At Luxembourg, again, ceiling and visibility is great, light winds. Oh, it's colder there, we'll not go there. And Brussels, again, light winds, so no problem. There's basically high pressure, isn't there, all over Europe again at the moment. So that's quite neat. Oh, Christian, that's a great question. Which computer normally commands the operation of the elevators and horizontal stabilizers? I'll give you a clue. If I just come down here and we'll go back to the flight controls. There you go. Either that, or we can just have a look over here. Interestingly enough, if anyone does fancy a little bit of fun one day, if you turn off the ELAC sec and FAT computers, don't forget to turn the other ones off over there as well, and you can have some fun, put the aircraft into direct law, then it literally becomes a Cessna. Oh, HD, that was going to be my line. That's why I've just gone up here and basically shown the all the different ones. I've also got a company message showing. I think that is just another weather briefing which I've not clicked into. Let's just check that. Yeah, it was. So let's start having a look at our arrival, shall we? Let's turn the brightness down on that a little bit. That's a bit better. So we'll probably begin our descent as usual, around about 100 miles away from the airport. And let's have a look how this is. So we've got programmed in the is it the Helen 1 Romeo, is that right? Helen 3 Romeo, so let's make some notes of this. So it's runway 6. I just checked the weather is still showing runway 6 is the favourable runway for our arrival into Rotterdam. 360 at 6, so yeah, runway 6 is fine. It's going to be a crosswind either way, isn't it? But not a major one. So runway 6. And it's the Helen 3 Romeo. And oh, HD's just caught my eye. So here's a question for you then, guys. What's the only flight control that has a mechanical connection from the flight control in the cockpit to the actual flight control on the aircraft? I know this one. We'll give it a minute or so, HD, for people to get their answers in, because ironically it's changing. I'm sure you're up on that. Anyway, this arrival. So Helen to Stad, and then from Stad it's we fly heading 335, and we intercept at around Echo Hotel 251. Mark 456, the wiper. So yeah, everyone's got that right. It is the rudder, but not for much longer. The rudder is moving to an electronic fly-by-wire system. I'm sure HD has seen that. I don't know if that's going to be from something like 2023. But yeah, they're now moving over. They're going to take away with do away with the with that, and it's no longer going to have a mechanical connection. So let's have a look at this arrival. See if I can clear this up a little bit. So what have we got? There's Helen, there's Rimbu, then there's Stad. And just zoom out a bit more. Maybe move to the next waypoint. And zoom in again. Right, so what have we got? I basically want to get rid of the Rotterdam waypoint. Can we clear that out? We want to go. We've got two Stads in there. Look, let's see if we can clear. Can we clear Rotterdam out? Did that work? No. Okay, this is going to be one of those where we have to delete the one after it, isn't it? We've had this before. So if we go to clear, oh no, not there. Scroll down. Scroll down. Okay, clear that Stad. Did that work? Oh no, it's not going to let me do that. Can we clear that Stad? Oh no, that cleared Rimbu. Can I clear the decel point? That'd be interesting. Erase that. Scroll down again. Right, so if I clear the decel point, what does that delete. Nothing. No. Okay. What we'll do then is, let me just clear that. We'll go direct from Rimbo to the stad here after Rotterdam, and then it should fly the procedure as we've got in the charts, and then that should be fine. So Dark, what's your question? If angle of attack protection is active or flaps are config full, what is reduced or inhibited? Okay, so if there's several answers to this. So if flaps are in full configuration, spoilers aren't allowed to be deployed. I believe if angle of attack is active, isn't the bank angle reduced to, is it 25 degrees? HD is going to come in and sort all this out. You see, Dark, I wouldn't know. I never need my angle of attack I never need the angle of attack protection active. I try not to let the aeroplane get to that stage. Should set standard pressure as well on the standby, shouldn't we?
In just a few moments, we'll commence our in-flight service, offering you the chance to purchase from our selection of fresh food available today. All details can be found in your in-flight brochure. We accept payment in pounds, euros, most major currencies, and debit or credit cards. The correct change would be greatly appreciated, and if we can be of any further assistance, then just ask us as we join you in the cabin shortly.
HD, yeah, that was my line. Just don't let the aircraft get into that in the first place. Question from Christian: the APU bleed valve is automatically closed above what feet? Well, that's interesting. I don't know. That's got to be quite high up, hasn't it? We've just had well, we closed it at 15,000 feet on our departure out. We turned the APU off rather at 15,000 feet for our departure out of Rotterdam just now. Out of Innsbruck just now. Are you guys just Googling questions, or is this stuff that you actually know? Jean Ray, you're flying behind me and you have a dotted green line instead of a full line. What does that mean? It means you're in heading mode and not nav mode. Push your heading bug. That one there. If you're flying behind me and you've got a dashed line, you must be flying in a straight line. Reef Automation, how's the FPS doing now? You're still getting stuttering after a world update, which is rather annoying. You've got the 3900. It's doing really well since I refreshed the cache and updated the packages. So really nice. Sim Dad, good evening. Nice to see you. Dark, you're reading out of the A320 tech manual. Christian, you have an A320 oral test folder there. That doesn't surprise me. So I'm just monitoring this rate of descent. What did I say? We wanted to be at flight level 60 by STAD. Now, we're also going to look in the RadNav page and pop that ILS frequency in there, or check to see if it has automatically populated 109.1. RadNav page. It's not automatically populated, so I'll pop that in. 109.1. There we go. And let's just get the latest weather as well. We've got an older printout there. It's probably not going to have changed very much, but just in case, we shall send that off. And always interesting flying into the Netherlands. The landing elevation is minus 14 feet. And our missed approach is to climb out on track. And up to 2,000 feet. And check those messages received. There's our latest meta. We'll print that off and pop that in. What's our QNH 1031? Let's get that set. There we go. Okay, so let's see what we can expect weather-wise. So winds are, yeah, they're exactly the same as they were on the last printout. So let's pop this information in. QNH 1031, and temperature is 4 degrees, wind 360 at 6. Transition altitude 3,000 feet, and the decision altitude is 186. So that's a performance page all set. Now it is also a very short runway, this, so we're going to use medium auto brakes. I think this is shorter than Gibraltar. What's the length of the runway here? Let's have a quick look, shall we? It's only about 1,800 meters. So landing runway 6. That's 2,004 meters. 2,004 meters. So it's not quite as small as Gibraltar, but close.
Ladies and gentlemen, take full advantage of your tax-free allowances today and make some amazing savings with our boutique range. In your in-flight brochure, you'll find details of our award-winning selection of gifts, most with massive discounts, some of which are exclusive to you as an Easyjet customer. Make the most of your opportunity to shop and save from the comfort of your seat. If you'd like to see any products, have any questions, or would like to make great savings, then just ask us as we join you in the cabin shortly.
So as you can see there with those tips and messages there on Unicom, I'm getting messages from people that are arriving into Manchester, and they're doing the day in arrival. So that means they're in the they're over the Midlands somewhere in the UK. Clearly not going to affect us. I don't know. Anyone know what the transmission range is for Unicom on VATSIM? Because that's a fair way away. That's certainly not going to affect us. Steve Barker, do you still need to use the FlyByWire installer, or has Microsoft incorporated it into the sim? Yes, you do need to use it. It is now a standalone aircraft, yes, but it's not installed from Microsoft. Right, so I want to slow us down a little bit and get some speed brakes out, as we need to increase that rate of descent to make sure we're down at flight level 60 by STAD. So we've got about 16,000 feet to lose at the moment. So we've got the weather and landing information, flight management guidance, computers all set, landing elevation confirmed, auto brake is set medium, and I think it should also display here on the FMA, although that's not working currently on the experimental version. Arrival briefing is confirmed. We're going to go direct to the second STAD in the flight plan, just because of the way the simulators put the flight plan in. Terrain radar? No, we don't need to bother with that, do we? We're in the Netherlands. Ian, is there a minimum length runway? As in Jersey, 1700 metres was a bit close. Well, the A319s land there. I don't know if A320s do. I'm not actually sure what the minimum is. It all depends on the takeoff and landing performance calculations, but I'm sure there is a minimum. So we're a couple of miles away from Helen, and we'll just make a call now on Unicom. Rotterdam traffic, Alpine 34 Alpha Mike is now at the Helen waypoint, beginning our approach via the Helen 3 Romeo for runway 6, flight level 170. So just past flight level 160 now, and as you can see this little loop, we're basically going to avoid that loop. We want to go direct from STAD, which is this STD point just there, and then we're going to go direct to Echo Hotel 251, and that is then where we intercept the localizer for our arrival. Looking forward to seeing this runway at an airport at night time. Not seen that obviously before with this new handcrafted airport. So, time to throw the seatbelt signs on as well, I'm afraid, guys. Toilets now out of use. And let's run our approach checklist. So, minimums are set, both sides. Engine mode select is normal. Electronic flight bag is stowed, and we've done our arrival briefing. One final thing to know is that once we have arrived, we vacate to the right at the end of the runway.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has turned on the fasten seatbelt sign. If you could please return to your seats and ensure that your seatbelt is securely fastened. If you are traveling with an infant, please ensure that they are secured safely using the infant seatbelt harness provided. Please contact a member of the cabin crew if you require assistance. Thank you.
So how far away are we now? Probably about 40 miles away. And we're probably about just a little bit below profile, but nothing major. That's okay. And as we're coming to 10,000 feet, let's get those lights turned on.
Ladies and gentlemen, from FlyByWire, you may have noticed that we've just begun our final descent into our destination. If you could now assist the cabin crew by tidying up your tray table and handing them any litter as they come around, that would be most appreciated. For safety reasons, we ask now that you please turn off all electronic devices or switch them to airplane mode until after we have landed. Please note that the aircraft toilets are now out of use. If you wish to become a Easyjetsimpilot channel member, please contact a member of your cab crew who will be happy to assist you. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed your flight.
Okay, so now I'm just popping in that direct to the STAD for the second time, which should hopefully remove this little loop here, although I'm not so sure. Where's this aircraft going? Oh, there we go, it's back on track now. Yeah, there we go, it's back on track. Oh, good lord, it's drawn another line. Now where's it going? Oh, if need be, we'll vector ourselves in. That happens so many times. Yep, we're descending down to flight level 60, transition altitude 3,000 feet. If we were descending below flight level 60, then yep, we'd need to set our QNH. So we can enter the approach phase now and just watch for the aircraft doing something daft. In fact, it's already into the approach phase for us, so in that case now we can go manage mode for the speed. That will slow down our rate of descent. And now we can start to descend down to our platform altitude of 2,000 feet. So we can now set 2,000 feet. Now we set the QNH to what was it? 1031. Thrust idle, open descent, 2,000 blue. Ignore this little green spaghetti-like looking thing. We're going to make our own. We're going to vector ourselves effectively to Echo Hotel 251. So let's start slowing the aircraft down and configuring. Let's go flaps 1. Ooh, there's a bit of a frame rate hit. And with that comes comes some turbulence. HD, you've not been doing landing calculations for me, have you? Will we stop in time? Captain Goat Banger on Twitch. Interesting name. Thank you for following, my friend. Okay, let's get the landing system turned on. "23 miles away, coming to our platform altitude as planned, and we should intercept that glide slope when we're about 6 miles away. And when we intercept this, we'll be at around probably just under 12 miles. HD, do you brush your teeth with your iPad? I'm sure they're sparkling white. William Blanton, good evening, sir. Eltham Ali, how to connect to VATSIM. So you need the vPilot client, and you also needed to take a little test that VATSIM have for you. Jenny, so you just went direct and you've just lost your flight plan. Oh, that's annoying. It'll be great. Do you know what? For me, that's the biggest bug. They need to sort this out. Okay, so I'm now going to go heading mode, as if HSC were here, they'd vector us. So just set a heading, a northerly heading, and then we'll intercept the localizer. OKTM, good evening. Quite right, the approach on the ND looks interesting. That's why we've just gone into heading mode.
2,500.
As the radio altimeter is alive. So what are we? We're 18 miles away. Speed alt star. Nice low platform altitude. Why is autopilot 1 just disengaged? I haven't touched anything. Let's put that back on, please. Honestly, I touched nothing. My hands weren't anywhere near any control then. If it hadn't pulled the alarm, I'd have had no idea. That's never happened before. How strange. I'm just trying to think. I wasn't even pressing any key that could have been close to that.
Cabin crew, please prepare the cabin for landing.
X parallel, biggest thing for you with the mod is the lack of a hold function. Yeah, I can understand that. I guess on VATSIM, I wouldn't fly into any events like tonight. They always do Gatwick midweek madness. I'd never fly into Gatwick tonight until I can do a hold. Don't you always find dentist assistants as let me try that again. Don't you always find that dentists assistants are always to use your phrase, HD, tip top? Okay, let's arm that localizer.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will shortly be landing. Please ensure your cabin bag is safely stowed with your laptop inside. Your tray table must be stowed, armrest down, and window blind open. You now need to be seated with your seatbelt fastened, ready for landing. Please help us by handing in any rubbish, newspapers, or...
We can see the runway is over there.
The toilets are no longer in service.
And as I say, we're going to intercept that at probably about 12 miles, so that's bang on. So still showing lock blue at the moment. And as we're 2,000 feet, let's get flaps 2. And there we go, lock star. So that was a Schiphol traffic announcement, don't need to worry about that. However, now we can make a call on Unicom. Rotterdam traffic Alpine 34 Alpha Mike is established 11 miles runway 06. Okay, so approach mode activated, Cat 3 dual, glide slope blue. And let's see how we do with the nighttime landings. I always find nighttime landings far more difficult than daytime landings to get them nice and smooth. I think it's just a perception thing. Ooh, there's an echo in here. So Lewis, I normally disengage around about 1,000 feet, unless I'm fighting a mega crosswind, in which case I might leave it on a little bit later. Let the autopilot do the hard work. That's what it's there for. But certainly no lower than the decision altitude. So glide slope is now alive. And a beautiful nighttime landing to come, hopefully. Dickens FS, I'm not too worried about the gear yet, maybe about 6 miles. We're coming up on that now. Still waiting for that glide slope to be captured. It's going to be a short final from a glide slope point of view because we are so low, 2,000 feet. There we go, glide slope captured now. We've started that descent. So 6 miles, let's start getting configured. So landing gear down. Auto brake would normally confirm on the FMA, but it's not yet showing, so auto brake medium. Ground spoilers are armed. Let's get the lights on. We've already dinged the cabin. And flaps 3, followed very quickly by flaps full. And landing checklist. Cabin is secured for landing. Auto thrust speed. Go around altitude is 2,000 feet. Set. And landing memo ECAM no blue. HD, were you here when I was talking about that? It's about 2,000 meters just. And Mr. Approach altitude HD is 2,000 feet. It was the same as the platform, so I knew it was set. Okay, so let me set my view for the landing here, and we'll take that autopilot off. Okay, so autopilot now coming off. I have control. Let's hope the frame rates aren't anything like Charles de Gaulle last night. So a very, very slight wind from the left. That's probably not too much to worry about. Just watching that nose drop a little bit. Let's hold that.
500.
And approach is stable. Watching the pappies now rather than the glide slope, although we have just dropped a little bit low, not too much. There we go, we're back on now. There are some frame rates issues creeping in though, which is annoying. Very annoying. I need that to smooth out a little bit.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5.
It was a bit of a mini slideshow, that wasn't it? Oh, not helped on the rollout just there with a little bit of too much rudder. And oh my word, come on. There we go, auto brakes doing their job. Yeah, frame rates I think didn't really help me very much there. But we'll roll out to the end of the runway. And then we'll backtrack
Ladies and gentlemen, the cabin
down
crew
the
will
taxiway.
seats to perform safety-related duties. However, we ask that you remain seated until the fasten seatbelt sign has been switched off. Portable electronic devices for messaging, calls or internet access may now be used. Please make sure that you take all your personal belongings with you, checking in the seat pocket, underneath the seat and in the overhead lockers. Do take care when opening the lockers in case anything falls out. Smoking is not permitted until you reach a designated smoking area. On behalf of the captain and the crew, it has been our pleasure looking after you today. Our ground crew will help you complete your Easyjet journey. For the latest news, promotions, flight and destination information, check out our official Facebook page, Twitter or Easyjet app.
Yeah, so actually I was quite happy with the landing. The rollout tag was I was just trying to track that centre line a little bit, and then obviously as the frame rates were messing about, didn't help. Rotterdam traffic, runway 06 vacated. Let's get that APU started. Right, so just checking the taxi charts for this ground movement chart for runway 06. So we taxi now on Victor. Is this Victor? Yeah, I think this is Victor. There's only one taxiway here, it has to be Victor. So here's Victor, and we take the first left or the second left. Find out in a moment. It's the first left. Take the first left. First left, first right. So there's one of our channel members that are flying with us tonight. You can see coming into land. If you fancy flying alongside us, I always post the route, certainly the destinations and the departure airports in the Discord server before flying in the VIP room for the channel members to fly along to. Lewis, yeah, so HD's just answered that for you. Should do. Can you underline text in on YouTube? My frame rates will probably improve now as everything's been loaded into the cache. And that's Speedbird 18821 inbound as well. Right, so let's see what the nighttime lighting is here. Obviously it's now a custom airport. One of my biggest pet hates of the sim is the nighttime lighting in default airports. They're just not really up to standard. Galrath36, while a lot of in real life pilots not able to disclose the company they work for, but I can. Probably because I'm not a real live pilot. So I'm a sim pilot. Okay, so first left, second right. Captain Cass, welcome to Rotterdam. Weather's a bit different in real. What's it like in real life? We saw this yesterday, this airport, and I thought it looked fantastic. Really, really nice and neat. I think that marshal is waiting for me. I'm going to have to go all the way around. But that's okay. HD, don't lie, there is an after landing checklist. Which beer are we drinking? So we'll go ahead and park there. I think this is one of those airports there's no pushback, is there? Is that right? I think it's just a line up and taxi straight back out, isn't it? So stand Bravo 3. Which matches up with the charts quite nicely as well. I could have gone to one of the stands to the right of me as I first taxied in. However, I've got marshals and I've got people waiting to greet me here. We've just blinded the marshal, by the way, because we didn't turn the lights off. You want me to get a little bit closer, does he? Okay, a little bit closer. And stop. Oh, just in time to see whoever that is coming into land. That was really neat. I don't know if you saw that. The landing lights reflected off the tug as he came into land then. that was really nice. Yeah, HD, that's my after landing checklist. Where's the beer? Okay, let's just tidy up a little bit. That needed to be turned off a while ago. With everything set down now, we've got all the lights off, flaps being retracted, APU is running, ground power is... oh, external power's connected. They've done it. I've not even had to call it. That's quite impressive. So, parking brake on and shutting down engine 1, shutting down engine 2, seatbelt signs coming off. And I'm just waiting because that logbook's about to make its appearance. This really ruins the immersion factor for me. How many people in the chat actually pay attention to their logbook? It makes no difference to my my flight at all. I've never even looked at it. Total time of flying, 145 hours. A lot of people have lost that as well, haven't they, after this update? A lot of the people are saying they've lost their logbook details, which is a shame. Right, so let's get the beacon lights off. There we go. And have we got stairs waiting to greet us? We do. Oh, them frame rates have come and disappeared again. HD, you usually leave yours collecting dust for 6 months. Oh, I know it's. I know you joke, and well, you're right too. If you don't laugh, you'd cry, right? So with that, let's get the doors open offloading the passengers. There we go. Everyone can start to disembark. Wonderful. Okay guys, well thank you very much for joining me on yet another flight. We got to do Innsbruck at night time. That was a little bit fun. I will look at doing a tutorial for Innsbruck, because there is quite a lot going on which I didn't delve into today, and again I need to publicly express my thanks to HD for talking us through that, and we had a good long chat about that yesterday, so big thanks to HD again for that. If you're new to the channel, please do consider hitting the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted for new video content, of course, and when we go live for our live flights. As always, a huge thank you to those that have donated and contributed to the channel, and of course to our Easyjet Sim Pilot channel members. Always a pleasure to fly alongside you guys. So thanks very much everyone. I look forward to seeing you in the next stream. Bye bye for now.
Cabin crew, please disarm the doors. Thank you. Cabin crew, the aircraft is secure. You can open the doors. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of myself, the captain, the first officer and the crew, I'd like to thank you once again for choosing to fly with Easyjet today. If you would like to become a member of the Easyjet Sim Pilot channel, please ask a member of the cabin crew, or simply click the red join button to find out about all the extra perks that are available when becoming a channel member. We wish you a safe